Hey there, welcome to episode 13. Again, each time that there's a new episode that I am recording, it just seems like we're gonna hit a big number soon, and it takes me by surprise each time. So, it might get annoying. I don't care. It's just so surprising to me. Anyways, let's start with our gratitude and what we are grateful for this week. I am grateful that my mom, my cousin, and I were able to attend a rosary brunch actually for the first time hosted here in Houston. So there's a group of women on Instagram that we found each other on this big Catholic influencer's post she posted for us to try to meet together, different girls in different areas. And so Houston's pretty big. It's kind of hard to commute. Again, I think I talked about this in the community episode 2 weeks ago now. And so it was a good 40 to an hour drive for a lot of women, but we all made it. There's a good amount of people, I believe, and it was very sweet and just it was great. And so I'm very grateful for the host that she opened her home to us and how we were able to just sit around and as women and chat a little and enjoy some brunch and rosary time. Anyways, I'll give you a few moments. Okay, so I had a poll this week because I had a lot of topics that I wanted to talk about. I was very surprised at how motherhood took over again. I guess a lot of people are very curious on kind of my view and things of that sort on motherhood, which is awesome. So today we'll be actually talking about me entering into motherhood. Last time it was the working out edition. This time it's just entering into it edition. I had no idea. Like, I'm sure many of you moms with your first babies had no idea what to do. And so a big part of me was very blessed to do research and to not work during my pregnancy. My husband allowed me not to because I asked as well. I think I worked until I was like 4 months pregnant, and then I just wanted to be able to have my full focus on the pregnancy, on the mental, physical, the spiritual aspect that I had no idea all of it came together. And so that time of preparation really helped me to be more confident in my decisions, I think, when baby did come. And so I actually have a blog post on the books that I read and used. So I will actually put that in the show notes if you're interested in seeing that, if you're pregnant, will be pregnant. Those books really helped me. I read every single one of them except one. I talk about that in the blog. It was meant more for my husband. We were going to read it together, but he took over that book because it was more of the coaching. And we just didn't have the funds to hire a doula, and we weighed our options and things of that sort. So we did not have a doula. And so my husband didn't just want to be sitting in the room and not being able to do anything. And so that book, it's called The Bradley Method, helped him a lot to be confident in what he was doing and was familiarized before all the events came. Anyways, so I already had kind of a mindset to learn things on my own, take books, and I think I'm more of a book-based person. I have to read the information coming from a good source, recommended sources, and things of that sort. And so, excuse me, it's cold and I feel like sneezing a little. Sorry in advance for sneezing. But I am a big book based person, podcast person, and so books have just been very helpful and guideful when it comes to collecting information for me. I seem like a very old school person, but books is my thing. So I was able to get through most of them. There's one that I hold near and dear to my heart because it is a Christian based book. It's called Made for This. It's fantastic. I love that book. I even want to pick it up to just read it again. But I'm like, no, the time will come, if the Lord blesses us with another child. Yeah. And so that mindset helped me, I think, when first becoming a mom. Yes, it was terrifying. There's a sense of comfort knowing that there's research out there, and kind of I had already done a little bit of beforehand things, but when baby came, there was a lot more decisions to be made, as many of you may relate to that. And it was hard. It was, I think, in my opinion, harder than it should have been when it came to providers and doctors, pediatricians, just, the whole 100-mile works. And I am not a person that just kind of does what they're told. I think in a respectful manner, I was always obedient as a child was to their parent. But as an adult, I always questioned things. I wasn't set on, oh yeah, okay, that's the way things worked. I believe that going into my faith is where all the questions started feeling as though I was okay to ask. And so, going again back into motherhood, when baby first came, all the decisions that were made between my husband and I, but he trusted me to do the research and then have the discussion with him. And so what I want to inform you on is that I shame nobody on any of their decisions that they have made as a parent. What I was actually talking to a relative about 2 days ago was that I want women to know the information before they make the decision. I think not knowing all the information is a big shame on doctors, and I am not going to apologize for that statement. And another relative told me not all doctors are the same, and I agree with that. Maybe like 10%. The rest of me, they are all the same to me because they all went to school. The system had taught them everything exactly, all procedures and all of those sort of things. And again, I was in pre-med for a bit. I didn't even make it to that point. But these doctors are taught all the same thing. And it's up to a doctor to go off on their own and do their own research and say there's something better for my patients. And I truly believe that. And again, you can take this with a grain of salt or you can leave it. And so I just knew that there was something not right about the way I was being attended to during pregnancy. I went to a clinic in Austin because I was currently living there when I was first pregnant, and I chose a clinic that was more Christian based as well. That's just my preference. I didn't want to be in a place that made me feel uncomfortable about the decisions and things I was making. And so, even in that clinic, there was something about just not being attended to in a way that there was a relationship with my provider. And so, moving to Houston is honestly the only reason I probably changed. We found some great midwives, also took a lot of research, and I was very blessed with them. They are based in Pearland, and they have a birthing center in Galveston. And so these ladies involved me in my pregnancy more than anything. Imagine that. I'm a new mom, newly pregnant, don't know much besides the books that I'm reading. And so to be able to trust these women with my body and my pregnancy, and them allowing me to know what is going on, like detail to detail, answering my questions freely, non-judgmental, it was amazing. And I instantly felt the difference. And so, come again, when baby was here, midwives helped me so much. They gave me resources on different pediatricians to try. I went through 2 pediatricians until the third one that I was finally able to be like, this is the one that I trust and that can answer my questions and not judge me as a new mom in asking all of these questions. And so, and again, I know that God was working in all of that, because the peace during birth and labor that there was for me, and then same thing with the pediatrician that we had finally went with, there was a peace. I didn't even know that she was Christian based either. And so that was God's work and God's hand in all of that. And so I think that gave me a sense of security in knowing that if I put my faith first in everything that I do, especially parenting and making the decisions for a child, I think that's what helped me with my confidence. And there's a sense of, what's the word? A cultural belief. And I stand by this because I've personally felt it, to where the statement that you've heard, it takes a village to raise a child, I believe. I have counted on my mom so many times to help with the baby, but I know that in the beginning I was very resistant to that help. I think it's because I wanted to learn on my own and I wanted to bond with my child, and I didn't want to allow my tiredness and my exhaustion to, it was kind of like tolerating pain. It was that labor of love that I wanted, and I wanted to seek out my own kind of parenting pattern. And so there was just something about working with my spouse on it, newly learning, making mistakes, and then seeing what worked for us, because I believe that each family is very different. Their dynamic can be very different. And I also know that culture has spoken into a lot of families and also hasn't given them that freedom to choose their own. And so, even on my coaching call a night ago, it was something that came up without wanting, that culturally, again, there's a sense of shame in hiring a nanny or a child caregiver within, like, coming to your home and babysitting and things of that sort. You don't do it. It's not, no. At least that's what I saw. No one told me. It was just what I saw. We had family that could help. And I am one of those family members that will do anything in the sense of holding my boundaries to a state to help. If I can't, I will say no. And that also took some time to get to. And so I think that we, as people first before our culture, should look at people and see change needs to be done to be better for our kids and show our younger people what it's like to do better and not just follow a culture. Culture is very powerful because it's a village and we were meant, again, for community. And so there's a beauty to culture. I think there's a extended place though where it starts becoming unhealthy. And again, we all struggle in different ways of how that could hit you. But I know for myself, there's certain areas where that hit, and I just kind of wanted to cut the tie there and be like, no, this is our time to be able to do something different for our child. And so I've seen certain results. Like, I believe one thing that I will stand firm on and won't also be apologetic about is the saying of let your baby cry, it'll make their lungs stronger. There is no scientific evidence whatsoever that that helps your child. The crying is a way that babies communicate, and it like hurts my heart to know that mothers are being told to allow your baby to cry. It does. That's just an example that I had changed or done different, is not let my baby cry, in the sense of not always being like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, because that's the way a child communicates, because they can't talk. So every time my baby would cry, I'd pick her up and I would comfort her to let her know it was okay, that I was there. That is the security that she needed. And now she's 1 and is so independent. I thought the worst because of what had been said about if I always carried my baby, she would be super clingy. And that is not the case. She only cries to me when she absolutely needs something, like if she's tired or when she's hungry or in pain. I've never felt so strongly on knowing what my baby wants. Like, granted, this is my first baby, but her communication skills are so much better than I've ever experienced with adults. And it's true. I'm not exaggerating. It's been amazing being able to take that step back and start new, because that's what I was. I was a new parent. And not to say there wasn't advice that I would take from my mom or my grandmother or anyone within the family, but there were some things that I strongly felt were something I needed to change. And so, as that first time mom, I really, really encourage you to do research, ask questions. That's what I'm here for. I love to answer these questions, and I also love to empower you in the decisions that you end up making. I believe that you should have all the information first before making your decision. I don't think that you should be left in the dark, and I don't believe that you should not have all the facts. And that's a tricky thing to come by nowadays, because there's always 2 sides to things, and one is truth and one is lies. So you have to allow yourself to know and to feel in your heart. Not feel. I'm going to take back that. You need to allow yourself to listen to your gut feeling. For me, it's that and God. But I might have listeners on here that don't have that relationship with God just yet, or they don't. And that gut feeling always helps. If there's something that's making you anxious, that is your body's way of telling you, hey, no man, don't do that, or that's not good for you. And then you take that step back and you analyze that and you change something or you do something about it. And yeah, that was just a little short episode that I wanted to share because it was on my mama heart, and I was able to talk again to a relative with her own baby, and it, again, it hurt. It kind of broke my heart that there's moms advising moms on things that are just kind of passed down instead of this is what a baby needs. A baby needs to be heard. They are still people. It's simple as that. I don't believe that a child should not be heard because they are also people. So I hope that you have a great week, and I hope to see y'all next week to talk about. Let me check my polls real quick. I believe it was slowing down the next one, but let me look at it real quick. It was slowing down. So we'll be talking about slowing down next week, and then the week after that, a peaceful place, and then lastly, healing. So I hope that you are here for those next 3 episodes, and if you have any comments, questions, or any of that sort, please don't be afraid to ask.